everybody, Cheaply Chic, welcome back to my channel. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today I am sharing the first video in my monthly Journal With Me series where I use the journal that comes in the collection that I sell in my Etsy shop. As most of you know, this is what this month's journal looks like. It's called Renew. It's a little shabby, pretty bright colors. I really needed something cheerful. It hasn't even really began to be winter here yet. I live in northern Indiana, as most of you know, and most of the time we've had some pretty major snowstorms by now, and we did have a couple back at the end of November. Maybe it was the beginning of December, but we have gone through the holidays. Usually New Year's, there's always some crazy storm, and we're into January now, and it was in the upper 40s for the last few days with rain, and the birds are singing. They're so confused. I'm confused. But it's been really wonderful so far. I know winter is still ahead of me. The month of January is always the longest month of the year for me, but since time is going so fast lately, I'm sure January will fly by too. I'm really excited to get started in this journal. I have been trying to think, how can I use this journal a little differently than I have used the past few journals. I have really enjoyed, I'm just going to pull these out. These are my past 3 months, and I love them so much. I really became systematic with the way that I was doing my journaling and the way that I was decorating my books and sharing them with you guys, and it's really made a difference for me. It's really helped. Let's get that out of here. So this is the end result of October through December, and I couldn't be more happy with them. They're so chunky and thick, which is what I love. I love that chunky, squeaky, everything about it. It's just so much fun. So I really want to stick with doing what I have been doing because it really works for me. So what that is, I don't share them afterward because there's so much personal stuff in here. I'm sure you guys understand that who are journalers with me. Sometimes you just got to pour your heart out, and nobody needs to see that. People, my husband doesn't need to see that, you know what I mean? That's between me and the Lord. Okay. But I have really enjoyed completely decorating a journal and then sharing it with you guys in my traveler notebook setup. I think that has been a way for me to feel like I'm sharing something completed, even though I'm not sharing with you what I've written down. You know what I mean? So I really enjoy that, and I'm going to stick with that so far because it's really been beneficial for me, and I've gotten a lot done that way. In fact, it's made me want to revisit a couple journals that I didn't get completed, that I feel like if I were to work in them the way that I've been working in them, I would be able to use them. So I'm probably going to pull out a couple older journals. I don't know if I'll put that on video. It would be fun to put on video, so we'll see what happens with that. That is what I'm going to do with this Renew journal. I'm going to create a series of videos. We'll see what happens and how the workflow progresses here, and then I'm going to add it to my new traveler's notebook. I know some of you are like, another new traveler's notebook? Yes, but this one was a Christmas present. This one I asked for Christmas, so I am loving it. I think it's beautiful. I love this suede material. I know that a lot of you saw the mustard colored one that I used in the fall months, and then this one I just think is so lovely. I will leave a link for it on Amazon if it's still available there. I wasn't really able to find it in this size anywhere but Amazon. So if it's there, I will leave a link to it down below, or I will link the smaller sizes down below that I've seen too. Okay, so I will get into this video and we'll just get started setting up this traveler's notebook. Okay, so this is pretty typical for me. I'm going to start out here going through items in the collection and pulling out things that I can use for tuck spots and pockets. That's really how I like to get started all the time because it gives me some place then later when I'm working in my journal to add tags and little places for writing. So I really like starting with adding the pockets and the tuck spots. So do you ever have one of those days where you're just not feeling very creative and motivated, but you really want to work in your journal, like your mind and your heart says, I want to do this, but there's just no creative flow? That was me when I sat down to film this video. I just didn't feel in the groove yet. I think it comes a little bit later, but it was really hard to get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is add the hearts to the strings in the center of my journal. That's something I love to do every time. I love the way they dangle in there and look. So the glue I'm using for this, because my Fabri-Tac is getting a little goopy and it needs me to add some acetone, I'm going to use the Water Aqua glue by Tombow. I like the little fine detail tip. I'm not crazy over how long it takes to dry compared to the other glue, but I do love that little detail tip. So that's what I'm using on my hearts. This is the scrapbook paper that came in this month's collection. I decide that I'm going to add a couple pockets with it in this video. I am going to do some faux stitching, so I'm going to cut the pocket, take it over to my sewing machine and add some stitching so that it looks like it's been sewn into my journal, even though I'm just going to glue it down. If you don't have a sewing machine and you would like to do something similar to this, I do have a video on my channel, I'll link below, where I share how to add some hand stitching in your journal, so that is an option. And I also really love using a stapler and just stapling things down. I love that hard metal texture in my journal as well, so I always think that looks awesome, so that's another option. Now I'm breaking out the Fabri-Tac. Of course, I couldn't stay away from it too long. Okay, you guys, let's talk about Fabri-Tac for a minute, because did you notice how at the beginning of the year the price literally jumped $3 to $4 per bottle, depending on where you're buying it? I went to all the major craft stores looking, because I'm like, okay, there's Fabri-Tac and Fabri-Fix, depending on where you buy them. Maybe the price didn't change on one of them. No, it is $14.99 at Hobby Lobby now instead of $11.99. $3 is a crazy price increase, I think. It's already expensive, like $15 for a bottle of glue, seriously. So I'm a little bummed out about that. I'm thinking about doing a video and buying a bunch of different kind of glues and trying to find something that I love as much as Fabri-Tac that might be a little more on the affordable side. So I'm definitely going to do that, because $15 is steep, and I understand. But today I have some Fabri-Tac left over, so I'm going to be using that in my journal. You guys know I love this because it's acetone based instead of water based, so it really doesn't wrinkle the paper and make it wet on the other side. I love that about it. It does get thick, and mine's a little goopy right now, but all you have to do is add 100% acetone to it, and it really thins it back out. So I pulled out some stamps. I have this Tim Holtz set that I think is amazing. I actually used one of these butterflies on the tag that came in the collection. This stamp set is called Flutter, and I think these butterflies have amazing detail. I don't think that I ever reach for any though in this video. The other sheet that I pull out is Bow Bunny Butterfly Kisses. I picked it up at Tuesday morning for $2.99, and I show the packaging. These were really cute stamps too, and I enjoyed them. The inks I'm reaching for today, Vintage Photo. I always love giving that brown edge to things in my journal because it really blends in well to the tea and coffee dyed papers. I'm also going to use Victorian Velvet today to do some of my stamping. Before moving on with this pocket, I did want to pull out some of the tags and tickets that are in this collection. I love these vintage swimming tickets. I think they're a lot of fun. I didn't end up using them this time around. I end up using them a little later on, but I'm using the little flourish type cut tag that came in the kit, and I'm going to use a scalloped circle punch that I pick up at Hobby Lobby. I'll leave a link for everything down below if I can find it online if you're interested. And I just do a little collage with these tickets to make a tag to go on the front of this little bag. Now I'm pulling out my stapler. This time, because I don't really want the staple to go all the way through the tag and show on both sides, I'm just going to staple my tickets together and then glue them to the tag itself. And I'm just going to use a hole punch and some of the twine that came in the collection and add this to the front of the bag. At first I was trying to think if I wanted to add a sentiment to the front of the tag where the scallop circle is, but I decided that I'm going to wait and do that later on when I'm using this journal and writing in it, and then I can either add a date here or a title that has something to do with what I'm writing about. I do have to say, I love the way that Fabri-Tac glues down the glassine bag. A lot of water-based glue, it has that ripply effect that happens right away when you add it to the glassine. And I love the way that this glue just smooths out. If you like rub your fingers over it, all of those little lines smooth out and you cannot see it after this bag is glued down. Have I mentioned how much I love Fabri-Tac? Just saying. So I am going to add a scrap of coffee dyed paper to the back of the tag that came in the collection. These are 3 inches and the bags are 3 inches, so they fit perfectly, and you guys know that I love it. I do it every time, but when you love something, do it if it makes you happy, right? So I'm just adding some paper to the back so I can journal on this later. I don't add any twine to the top of the tag, I realize that, but I don't think I've even done it yet, to be honest, but I am going to because I love the way that it pokes out of the top of the journal. I usually forget that I can use my little plastic baggie. I always use the little glassine bag with the claim check, another favorite of mine. If you love something, keep doing it. Yeah. But this time I decided to use the plastic baggie to give it a little bit of a junkier look this month with the claim check, and I really like that too. I know the back of this claim ticket is white, but I love the coffee dyed vintage look, so I'm just going to back it with some coffee dyed scrap again, and I think I'm going to ink the edges. Now it's time for that glassine bag. I love this little bag. I love making little tags that fit inside of it. I decide this time that I'm going to use the other scallop tag that came in the collection and do the same kind of decorating that I did for the other bag. Okay, so I added that little oops moment in there so that you could tell that, yeah, I mess up a lot too. I really do. I cut out a lot of things in my editing, but a lot of things are trial and error for me too. So I just want to take a minute to say, don't be afraid to try things, and even if you mess up, just find some way around it. That's what I enjoy doing. So I end up punching a second hole, not so close to the top this time. I know that when I pulled my string, my hole was too close to the top of the bag, and that's why it ripped. So anyway, no big deal, no harm done. I'll just punch another hole. This is the last page I'm going to do in this video today, and I'm taking the brown bag that came in the collection and I'm cutting it in half so that one half will fit on each page here in the center of my book. I love the center of the journal. I love the strings and the hearts, so I always enjoy doing something that I think is pretty in the middle that makes me smile. So I am going to take this over to my sewing machine again. One is completely open because it's been cut in half, one side of the bag, so I'm going to sew that shut, and to make the other one look uniform, I'm going to sew the bottom of that bag too. Then I'm going to glue them down in the journal. I do decide that I'm going to use the doily on this as well, so I end up cutting that doily in half and very carefully running that through the sewing machine to give it a stitched look too, and gluing it to the bag. Again, if you don't have a sewing machine, that video will be linked below where you could do some hand stitching. That would be awesome on these bags too. And staples would be a lot of fun too. And that is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you missed the release video for the Renew collection, I will leave those videos linked down below so you can see everything that was included in this month's collection. And if you're interested in picking up one for yourself, the link to my Etsy shop will be down below as well. I do have 3 more videos to edit and get up here for you guys this month with this journal. I really love the way that it turned out and my traveler's notebook setup. I have 2 more process videos and then 1 complete traveler's notebook setup. So I'm very excited. They will definitely all be released next week. So keep an eye out for that. And you guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.